the subject of the next course that I will be teaching, called Introduction to Art, Aesthetics, and Neuroscience, which basically explores the biological foundations for aesthetic experience and artistic productions. The course focuses on how the human brain and body process and interpret art. What happens in our bodies and brains when you look at the work of art. We're going to find out if the eye is a window to the work, and do we all see the same thing when we look at a work of art? Or how do past experiences, thoughts, emotions affect our interpretation of art? How do cultural, environmental, and biological factors shape the creation of art and its reception by the audience throughout history? What role do empathy play in our response to art? And how does the brain's ability to adapt and rewire itself influence artistic expression over time? Basically, the course has two main sections. In the first section, we're going to study the historical context, which is the first attempts by art historians to link art history with the science of psychology, which began with the first, one of the founders of art history as an independent discipline, Alois Riegel, who in late 1800s, in his book, Group Portraits of Holland, tried to explore the role of the viewer in completion of the work of art by linking formalism to the science of psychology. And his path has been continued by other generations of the art historians of the Vienna School of Art History, Ernst Kress, who met Lucian Freud and has been encouraged by him, Sigmund Freud, and has been encouraged by him to continue linking, using psychology to study the artworks, and Ernst Gombrich, who used different types of psychology, like Gestalt and so on, to explore the role of the viewer, ended in the development of the concept of the beholder's share, which is simply what the role of the viewer, the role of the beholder in completion of work of art. The beholder's share suggests that the meaning of an artwork is shaped by the viewer's personal interpretation, emotions, and experiences. So viewer is not passive. To look at the work of art is a creative process. And in the second section of the work of this course, we're going to study the more recent findings thanks to the invention of brain scanning technology like fMRI and new discoveries such as mirror neurons and neuroplasticity. Biologists such as Samir Zeki, Eric Kandel, Vittorio Gallese, and art historians such as David Friedberg and John Anayas try to explore the biological basis of aesthetic experience in art production. Their attempt opened up new fields such as neuroart history and neuroaesthetics. Samir Zeki, who is the pioneer of neuroaesthetics in the 90s, used fMRI to scan the brain of the viewers of the artworks to understand what happens inside of their brains, and he developed a visual brain concept where he realized that what part of the brain reacts to looking at the works of art and what happens there. So, and he divided the visual brain into 5 parts: V1, V2, V3, V4, and V5. Each of these parts reacts differently to visual elements. For example, when we look at the painting, which is colorful, cells in V4 respond to color. That means blood flows to those cells in that part of the brain, and that part of the brain becomes activated. While when we are looking at a drawing or a border lines like this work by Franz Klein, the cells in V2 and V3 respond to the lines. This field called neuroaesthetics, which later by the new discoveries such as mirror neurons have been completed. Mirror neurons reflect the actions, emotions, and sensations of people in front of us. That means when we're looking at someone doing something, the same parts of the brain activate as we are doing it. And this means that when we are looking at the work of art, which is dynamic, for example, the work of Bernini's David, which is in action, it shows movement, it shows determination. The same motor areas in the brain activate as we are doing it. Aesthetic experience goes beyond the visual brain, and we perceive the artworks with our body. For example, when we look at Fontana's work, the cuts, the same motor areas in the brain activate as we have been doing these cuts. Finally, the neuroplasticity, which is brain's ability to change and grow and rewire itself with new experiences, helped Professor John Anayans to pioneer the neuro art history. The answer of the question why we have different types of artworks, why each artist's art is unique and different from the others. Basically, in the 90s, there was this study on the brain of an artist, professional artist, and a non-artist. They scanned their brain during the time of painting, and they realized that the artist's brain, we have the activation of the parts of the brain that had been built up by previous experience. Past experiences, emotional thoughts, life, your lifestyle, all these things influence your artistic production. The non-artist, which had no artistic experience, the brain scanning showed the greater activity in the visual cortex. That means that if you're not an artist, you need to rebuild this. The neuroplasticity of your brain needs to be built based on the new experiences. So this really helped Professor John Anayans to go through the history and understand why the art of each period has been different and unique. If you're an artist, you can go through your own experiences to find the neuroplasticity of your brain and why are you doing this kind of work, why your work looks like this.